All right. Action. Thank you for coming in today. From our last conversation, which was very short, I know, and we were able to have some discussions about the family as a whole. I just wanted to go over a couple things to make sure I have it correct. I understand that you initiated this initially, and can you remind me as to why you first came to counseling, or why you first requested the family to come into counseling with you?
Well, I'm having problems with relationships outside of my family.
Okay, excellent. And I think one thing is that we were able to learn a little bit about the family last time, and a lot of them aren't able to come back to therapy for one reason or another. I believe your older sister is married, who has a child. They actually won't be joining us, but we've talked about them. You've got a younger brother and a younger sister.
Yeah.
Still in the home. And neither one of them are here today, but you've got your mother with you today. And from our conversation last time, you were kind of indicating that growing up, you felt like you did a lot of the peacekeeping. Is that kind of correct?
Yeah. Their marriage has always been toxic, and they fight a lot, so.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is kind of look deeper into that, because I think what we might be able to come up with is some techniques to look at how the family dynamics might have or might be influencing some of the feelings you're having at this time about other relationships.
Okay.
So we had you do a genogram while you were out waiting to come in here, and I've got it with me here. And I was noticing from the genogram that I understand your father's alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and he has been for probably 30 years.
Okay. And can you describe the relationship you have with him?
It looks like we've got some barbed wire here. What's that?
Well, from the diagram, from what we were talking about, and from what she wrote down, is that it's basically you're cut off from him. Is that pretty much true? That you
Well, we
really
live
don't
together.
you live together, but emotionally, do you have a lot of do you do a lot of decision making together?
Well, I pretty much make most of the decisions until, if he just decides he's going to do his thing, whatever that might be.
Okay. And
But we live together. I mean, we're still married. We stayed together for all these years.
Okay. Well, this is the idea of the genogram is to look at how the communication and the roles are between the members of the family. So we can see that that she mentioned he was alcoholic, and that she felt like there might be some parent roles that aren't being shared here between you and him. Would you say that might be fair?
Well, I don't know what you mean about parent roles. I mean, I'm the mom. I cooked, I cleaned, I made sure that everybody was taken care of. And although he's labeled alcoholic only, I mean, he is more than that. I mean, he worked all those years. He made sure that we had money to take care of the kids.
Which is something else that I do notice, is that your family is very important to both of you, and it seems to be important to all the family members. Keeping that family intact is very important.
Right.
And
I
that's
mean,
a
right
very
now,
positive,
Bobby's
good thing.
having some issues. I mean, Bobby's got his own little thing. But, I mean, that'll work itself out.
Okay.
Right now he's 20. you know.
All right. And with when
But I mean, I don't, about this parenting roles, I mean, he did what he did. He was the father, and I did what I did because I was the mother.
excellent.
But we always had issues, of course, with the alcohol.
Okay.
But they
Um,
fought a lot. They would almost every night they would fight a lot, and then I would have to hear about it.
How did that make you feel when they were fighting?
Like it was my responsibility to fix it.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you were a kid. You didn't have to fix anything. I'm sorry you had to listen to it, but, you know,
Okay.
it's not their responsibility to fix.
Well, one of
I mean,
the
what would have fixed it if Robert would have stopped drinking? But, you know, it always seemed to pick up around the holidays.
okay. Now, when the drinking picked up around the holidays and the behavior was seen, who did you feel should be dealing with that problem?
What, his
That was
drinking? Robert.
drinking.
One
And if-
time it was those damn Christmas bonuses. Every Christmas they'd get a bonus. And one time I went down to his work and I said, I want you to give me that bonus before he gets his hands on it because it always screwed up Christmas. Every Christmas.
And did you talk with Robert about the bonus?
Hell no, because if I talked to Robert, then he would have just told me to mind my own business and I knew I needed to get stuff for the kids.
So,
I figured if I got my hands on it first, I could get the toys before he got to drinking.
okay. Now, would you say that this was the usual pattern that they usually, that she usually handled most of the situations?
Yeah, but it wasn't. It's not like drinking is the only problem. Like it's not all his fault.
Okay.
Well, what was my problem?
Well, did you see some behaviors that you felt like she was not doing that you felt like you were having to take care of?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it seems like when they talk, she doesn't really talk to him. She's just more like talking at him, and so I think that is hard for him, and maybe makes him want to drink. I don't know.
So would both of you say when these things were occurring that there was anxiety rising within the family?
The drinking?
Whenever there'd be problems from the drinking, did you feel like the family as a whole was feeling more anxious?
Well, yeah, because we never knew what Robert was going to do. I mean, how do you talk to someone that drinks all the time? You know, I mean, we need money for food, we need money for clothes, we need money for the electricity, we need money for whatever, and the money's going right down his gullet. You know, I mean, how do you... And I
Well,
couldn't leave. I mean, I wanted to leave, but I couldn't leave. I mean, I had no skills. I had a high school diploma, and it's not like there were jobs out there to pay.
mhm.
And
So-
why are you laughing at me? I mean, did you have a solution? You were only 5 and 10 and 12, and we decided to stay together for the kids.
Well, let me ask a question. When you felt this anxiety rising, it's very normal for any relationship. Matter of fact, it's almost required that when there's a relationship and there's conflict, because everybody's going to have some kind of conflict in a relationship.
Yes, I can feel it coming
That
on right now.
that they have to, they have to go to somebody else to kind of vent. So may I
Yes.
ask, who do you vent to when this is building up?
God, Robert.
No, you really don't talk to him that much. You mostly talk to me.
Well, yeah, you're always there.
But,
Your
like-
older sister, she had all of her stuff going on. She hung out with Aunt Minnie a lot. Minnie wasn't that interested in all that was going on, so, you know, you were kind of there. And so
So did you
I did
feel-
try to talk to Robert. I did try.
Mhm. So did you feel that a lot of times you were the person that she vented to or talked it out with?
Well, yeah, but that was me like being there for my mom. Like it's not like she like forced me to listen to it. Like I would go there, so I would like go to her so she could have that support.
Yeah.
Uh,
And you hang out with your dad too.
Yeah.
Did you feel like this was something you did to help your sisters and brothers deal with his situation?
Well, I don't know if I had a choice in that because they all just kind of split. Like my brother cut off a relationship with him.
Mhm.
Has no contact.
No,
with
and
him.
I have a good relationship with Victoria and with Susie.
Okay.
But Kristen's always been there.
Well, you know, it's important to be able to differentiate, to balance relationships. And when I say differentiate, it's like to be able to take what one person's behavior is doing and to look at your own behavior and decide whether or not you're going to be able to be true to yourself or if you're going to be changing your behavior to satisfy them. And that's a kind of a way we differentiate. And
And I have
so,
no clue what you just said there. I have to look at my behavior and
yes,
how I act with different people.
what I'm saying is that we all try to balance what we rationally think about and what our emotions are telling us to do. And so when presented with a conflict, we have to decide internally within ourselves how we're going to differentiate ourselves from that problem. If we're going to keep it as our problem, or if we're
Well, I
going
guess I can't
to
figure out what my problem is. What's my problem? And
Well, it's
Okay.
not all Dad's drinking. That's not the only problem.
okay. Well, okay. Robert drank. We struggled most of our lives because of his drinking. I mean, it affected all of us. So
Well-
what's my problem? How do I take it? I don't understand what you mean.
Well, what I'm trying to say is that when people are close to us, we frequently forget to check in with those people as to what's happening. We don't talk to them about it. And so we start making
My kids
assumptions.
knew exactly what was going on.
And sometimes the kids may make assumptions if they don't understand the full picture. And the assumptions may or may not be true. And especially when there's a lot of stress. So we have to decide, well, what a lot of times happens is we decide that the best way to handle stress is not to talk about the issue. Okay? And the reason I mention it because looking at the genogram,
Well, then sometimes, yeah, okay, yeah, all right. So there's this problem. Robert's drinking. Everybody knew what was going on. It's not like we had to beat that horse. It was alive and well. You know, everybody knew the stress, and so it's like, why keep harping on it? Or what do you know, when you're scrambling around trying to keep things together for everybody else.
right. And what I'm trying to say is that it can affect the way we function as a family with each other when there's a lot of stress of that nature. And what we can do to help relieve some of that stress is that we can look at how we are relating in our speech and communication with each other. For instance, I'd like to suggest, like when we're referring to what your mother has done or what you refer to her behavior, start using the word I. So instead of saying she did this or she said this, say what it means to you. I felt like this occurred because.
Like, I feel like I'm being attacked coming to this counseling session in order to help her.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. And if she were to say, I felt like I'm being attacked, what kind of reaction might you have to that?
Well, I don't want you to feel attacked, and I'm not trying to make the session about that.
So, which is good, because what I heard you say is that I do not intend to attack. That's not my purpose, is to be attacked.
And I guess I feel like I am not sure what I could have done differently all these years.
Okay. So what I want to do at this point is not get too concerned with what could have been done, because I don't think it's going to be as useful to you as what I'm going to suggest. And what I like to suggest is, especially looking at the genogram that you had showed me, is for yourself to start having a lot of interactions, or more interactions, with your sisters and your brother, if possible, especially with the sister that is married and has a child, and just doing some good things in family interactions with them. And I think that you'll find that has a kind of a healing effect on what you're after, which is to make you more comfortable with relationships and actually believing in the ability to be closer in relationships with other people.
I just don't want my parents to think that because if I do spend more time with my siblings that I'm not going to be there for them, I guess.
Okay. How would you react to her comment there?
I don't know. I'm still just sitting here floored.
What makes you feel floored?
I just still feel like going through my head, all these years of staying with Robert and just trying to keep the family together, and that somehow him drinking and like I'm part of that problem. I'm just still thinking through that.
Okay, so let me suggest two things. One, like I said, first, I guess 3 things count the iMessage, but with the drinking, do you go to AA meetings or not?
I don't drink.
You go to the the Al-Anon meetings. That's the word I'm looking for. Al-Anon meetings, where these are people who.
I don't need to be with anybody else. I have to put up with this. I just don't want to deal with it.
I'd like to suggest it, though, if you can decide to deal with it, because I think you'll find that there's a lot of support systems out there.
What do I need them for? I've got my kids. Except for Bobby. He's off doing his own thing right now.
I understand that. And it's just an avenue for when you feel like maybe the kids aren't the best place to go for your answers. You might find that the meeting provides you with other spouses that are actually dealing with this problem of having an alcoholic spouse. And you might learn that you're not alone, that there's a lot of similarities.
A lot of other people married to assholes, yes. Okay.
Now, as far as the children, and this can kind of work for both of you, because you mentioned she doesn't want you to feel like she's abandoning you for
Well,
her
for God's
family.
sake, she's 22. It's time for her to spread her wings.
Excellent. But I'd like to say that you might also consider building a relationship, going back and revisiting the relationship you have with your children to make sure that the relationship is not about the alcoholism, but about other things too. That you get a lot of more involved in their family life.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think that the two of you could work on those items that we suggested?
What, does she spends more time with her siblings, and
And
I spend time with the kids too,
Mm-hmm.
but not together.
Not necessarily together, no.
All right.
And with you, I would recommend the Al-Anon, meetings.
Al-Anon.
Yes. Thank you for coming. What we'll do is schedule another appointment to see how these things have been functioning for you and if you feel like this has been helping.